Now, the next thing that you must remember in utility is that it is a cardinal utility, meaning to say that when we have to measure utility, it is always done in terms of utils. That is what Benham tells us, meaning to say we measure it in numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the level of satisfaction. So, it is measured in numbers or in utils. Now, the next term is total utility. Total utility is derived after I have consumed X number of things, that is total utility. For example, when I have consumed, say for example, my 4 ice creams or my 4 chocolates, that is the consumption level to which is actually required. Whatever is my need, my requirement, whatever I require, if I consume that much and the satisfaction I derived out of it is the total utility. For example, if you eat say 4 slices of bread every day and the consumption of those 4 slices, the satisfaction that it provides you is the total utility, because that is your requirement. You need only 4 slices of bread and you are eating it, you are consuming it, and thus deriving the total utility out of that consumption. We just now studied about the total utility, that is the satisfaction that a consumer is deriving after he has consumed the required number of units. But next is the marginal utility, that is the satisfaction that you derive when you add on one more unit to the total utility. For example, if my desire or my satisfaction or my need is 4 ice creams, but I still take one more ice cream, that will be the marginal utility. That is, I am adding on one more unit to the unit that I have consumed and I require. So, the satisfaction that I will get will not be of that level. That is to say, the next which we have to understand is the law of diminishing marginal utility. We derive, they say, more satisfaction when we consume less, and we derive less satisfaction when we consume more. That is, when the consumption is more, the satisfaction level falls. As I said, the first glass of water will give me the best satisfaction, followed by less in the second, third, fourth and the fifth month. I might even not feel like drinking it. So, this is the law of diminishing marginal utility, that is, the satisfaction derived from the first unit is maximum, and as I keep on increasing the number of units, my satisfaction level will automatically fall. That is the law of diminishing marginal utility. Next is the utility schedule. Now, what is a utility schedule? When the diminishing marginal utility is numerically illustrated, that is, the total utility and the marginal utility, when it is numerically illustrated, that is called as utility schedule. Now, let us see the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. The first thing is that when consumer has more goods, the total utility increases less. As we said, more goods, the satisfaction becomes less. When no unit is consumed, that is the time that the total utility is 0 and the marginal utility is maximum. And if a consumer is rational, he will stop after a certain point of time because he will know that more unit addition is not going to give him any satisfaction. He doesn't need those more number of units. And when total utility is maximum, that is the time that the marginal utility becomes 0. If I just talk in a layman's term and say that my units are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, then the total utility and the marginal utility will inversely proportionate. That is to say, when one will increase, the other will decrease. This is because the law is such that the consumer has more goods, then the total utility starts increasing less. And when no unit is consumed, the total utility is 0, but the marginal utility is maximum. Now let us talk about the assumption of diminishing marginal utility. The assumptions are, first of all, there is always a standard unit of measurement. Very small or very large unit of measurement are not correct for measuring. We cannot measure water in drops and we cannot measure, say, rice in grams. That is to say, we must have a standard unit of measurement of every unit, and that is the assumption of the diminishing marginal utility. Second is homogeneous commodities. All the commodities which are consumed are homogeneous and are substitutes of each other. Next is that the consumption remains always continuous. It does not happen that I eat my 10 say rotis today and I do not need it the next day. My consumption will always remain continuous. I am going to feel hungry the next day. Next is the mental and social condition of the consumer should be stable. So these are the 4 assumptions of diminishing marginal utility. First, we must have a standard unit of measurement and the consumed commodities should be homogeneous and substitutes. Third is there has to be a continuous consumption. We just cannot end it today by saying I have had enough for the lifetime. Next is the mental and social condition of the consumer has to be stable. He has to understand what he is buying and what is the utility of the commodity that he intends to buy or he has bought.